Yo, how was your lunch, big fella?
Man, my lunch was good, dude.
By the way, thank you for getting mine.
Yeah, Dusty bought AJ's lunch, our producer extraordinaire. But I'll tell you what, I don't know if I'm going to make it, buddy. We may have to take some breaks during the show.
Think you may have an issue?
Hey, listen, before we walked in here, I let out a fart. It's going to itch when it dries. All right, welcome to Cuttin Up. This is Clint.
I'm Dusty.
And this is our 4th episode here as we do our podcast here on, what is the even freaking date? Sunday, March the 30th. It's Final Four. Final Four is halfway set, big guy. And unfortunately, your team lost last night to Duke. But as Alabama falls Duke. But hey, you know, how amazing is it that we had, how many teams we have in the Elite Eight? 5? 4. And 4 teams.
Four in the Elite Eight, yes.
And that's pretty amazing. So the Final Four is halfway set as Florida beats Texas Tech, Duke beats Alabama, Tennessee, and Auburn will be playing today. And so the next time we record a podcast, we'll have a national championship, my friend.
We will definitely have a national championship.
It's been, I don't know. It's my bracket. You know, I told you guys my bracket. I think everybody's bracket kind of got busted, but my Final Four was Duke, Tennessee, Florida, and Auburn, and that can still happen.
It sure can still happen. Mm-hmm. Listen, I still think that not because they beat us, but
I don't know if that's close enough.
I don't know if it is or not. Cooper Flag, best player in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, I think Duke has an advantage.
Mm-hmm. Well, Tennessee got hit by Houston first today.
Yeah, y'all got your hands full.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have all you want today, for sure. Your defense plays like it's been playing, and I think it could be a little easier for you.
Well, listen, I mean, if I'm using my head right now, I think your national championship is probably Florida against Duke. They're the two hottest teams in the country to me right now.
I think so. I think Florida may be the most all-around team in the tournament.
Yeah. Also going on this week in sports, I don't know if you've kept up with it, but the Stephen A. and LeBron drama is still going on.
Listen, have you ever? I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there, and you probably thought about it, probably read about it a little bit. I think they're trying to do it on purpose like a WWE thing.
You think it's building a storyline?
I think it's building a storyline. I don't think, like the whole deal that got it started, LeBron confronting Stephen A. Come on. Cameras running. Mm-hmm. I just feel like it's just so. If it was not set up that way, they could have had that conversation in the tunnel, in the back, or something like that.
You know, there's a lot of things LeBron does that I don't agree with, and things he says. He had a pretty lengthy interview on Pat McAfee the other day, and kind of opened up more than really you've ever heard him. Now you can take your own 2 cents on how you really felt about everything he said. Now that's not the point, but to me, is Stephen A. Smith about at the point where he needs to be shut off? Because everything is such a dramatic ordeal now.
Everything is a dramatic ordeal with Stephen A. So I don't know if he's having to do this for himself and his image. You know, is he getting? I don't know. It's almost too much to listen to anymore.
It's so hard. I mean, you have to hear a 5-minute soliloquy before he gets to the freaking point he's trying to make now. And then he said if he would, what did he say? He would have swung on LeBron. Well, you'd have gotten murdered.
Well, LeBron would have tore his head off. Old forehead there would have been lit up.
But here's the thing. I don't know exactly what the quote. If I've heard it, I can't remember it. What it was that set LeBron off of Stephen A. He was questioning him. He thought he was questioning him as a father. You know why he's. But I think Charles Barkley, who I quote on here a lot, who's my spirit animal, said it best. Bronny needs to be in the G League all the time. because he's not going to get any better sitting on the bench.
No.
So that's where he needs to be. But I don't know. Bronny did have a pretty good game the other night where he had 17. So maybe there is a step up. And I don't know. With this Stephen A. LeBron, I can't. You know what really worries me too, because the inside guys next year are going to ESPN.
I know.
And that worries me.
It does worry me.
Because I can see Charles Barkley especially saying, no, we're not having the Jordan LeBron discussion on this show.
No.
Because that's all they do is use this for, it's almost like watching a political show.
Yes.
Let me see how many people we can get pissed off and riled up over this.
And you're exactly right. I mean, because it's every show you listen to. You can't watch a basketball show without somebody chiming in. Jordan's the GOAT.
Who's the GOAT?
LeBron's the GOAT. I'm sick of it. Like we need to move past it.
And and honestly, I don't know that LeBron's handled everything very well, but you almost got to feel like he's sick of it.
I would think so, but hell, you think Jordan's probably sick of it?
Oh, yeah. Jordan's always answered that the right way, though. I think you got to define it by eras. I don't think you can. He said, he said, I'll never say I'm better than Bill Russell. Jordan says that.
Right.
And he said that's for, I think it's just different eras, and this is totally different eras. The game is so different now.
It's a totally different game. I mean, we seen games back when we were kids when we were watching Jordan that, they're doing good to score 90 points in a game, and it wasn't playoff time. It was regular season 2 weeks in. And, now it's a shooting fest.
Yeah.
We'll
get into talking a little bit about his airness in our discussion today, along with a lot of other of our favorite players through the years in the 80s and 90s. Real quick before we get to our main topic, Dusty, did you see where Carlin Pickens for the University of Tennessee threw a 78.2 mile an hour pitch in college softball, set the record?
That's bringing some cheese.
That's equivalent to hitting a 107 mile an hour fastball in baseball. That's
crazy. and listen, and I don't want people to take this the wrong way, she's not a big girl. That's impressive.
Yeah. I mean, I've coached travel softball. I've seen dominant pitching, but I mean, you literally just have to close your eyes and hope. And listen, if I'm batting against her, or if I'm coaching against her, I'm probably just saying, hey, just get up in front of the block, squeeze the plate, and hope she walks you.
Yeah. It's just,
I mean,
that's the
only chance we got. Maybe the umpire can't see it either.
Yeah, maybe he can't see and call the ball.
Yeah. All right, well, that's our week headlines. I don't think we've got some idiots of the week, but we're not going to get into them yet. You got one?
No, I don't have any for week. I've got some in my trunk.
We'll go get it. We can pause this thing.
Because it's for the show.
I mean, hell, ain't no point in trying to be professional now.
Hell with it. Because we got to give props to somebody.
Okay. Okay, big fella's come back in with a bag full of shirts, I think. Ooh, we've got some Cuttin' Up shirts.
Yeah.
How about that?
We've got our own
merch.
We got merch for Cuttin' Up with Clint and Dusty. Give a shout out to Chris Long and his wife from Summertown, Tennessee. Donated me and you our first T-shirts.
Hot dog. Golly, you held that up, and I thought that was your shirt. Hell, it's mine. Am I that big now?
A couple different colors.
Got the logo on there and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about this for a while. While you were gone, AJ just informed me that at the moment, Tennessee, with 4 minutes to go in the first half, Tennessee trails 28-7. 27-8, excuse me.
27-8?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it looks like Tennessee and Alabama's going to be ready for baseball season.
Yeah, they're going to go ahead and transition on into baseball now. Wow.
All right. While Dusty's hey, Chris, let's see, is it Amanda?
Amanda.
Chris and Amanda, thank you both so much for that. Me and Dusty will wear it out so our one fan will recognize who we are.
We have one fan.
Yeah. So we appreciate that so much. All right, let's get into our main topic, big fella. And I think once we go through this, I gave you something to watch, and I don't know how. Did you watch all of it?
I did not.
Okay. Well, for anybody that hasn't seen it, if you are looking for a good sports documentary to watch Magic and Bird: A Courtship of Rivals, because it goes all the way through their high school, their upbringing, all the way through both of them retirement and being at each other's retirement ceremony and becoming some of the best two friends.
Yes.
All right, and that's I got a lot of my research and story from that, and I think when we get through, I think everybody knows. This is mostly for people that are younger than us, Dusty, that may not know that everybody thinks Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan took the NBA worldwide, but Magic and Bird literally saved the NBA. It was about to shut down.
It was. People don't realize that, especially like you said, the ones that are younger than us. They were in the middle of just, the NBA was infested with like drugs and, it was in a kind of like in a race war, and all that. And then, of course, you get to as I started my notes, I started as it started in 1979.
Get into it real quick. Irving Magic Johnson, born August 14th, 1959, in Lansing, Michigan. He was son of a garbage man and a GM lineman, and his mother was a school cafeterian. What the reason I'm telling this, because you're going to see really two people that came from hardworking families and similar backgrounds, even though one's black, one's white. And that's also something that we'll try to walk a fine line here, Dusty, because we don't want to. This is going to have a lot of racial undertones in this whole story. Mm-hmm. But he was a state champion at Everett High School. A local reporter dubbed him in the newspaper as the Magic Man, and the name just stuck, and that's where Irving transformed into Magic. Larry Joe Bird grew up in southern Indiana in a tiny town, French Lick, Indiana. Born December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day, 1956. He was raised poor and he was raised tough. He and his older brothers were known troublemakers and loved to fight. Had a close relationship with his dad, who had many, many demons. He was a war veteran and an alcoholic. And so, again, you're having two similar kind of upbringings that kind of paved the way, I think, for the hard work and the effort you saw they play on the floor. Because this was 80s basketball. This was late 70s, 80s basketball, that if a ball's on the floor, I'm going to tackle you, and then I'm going to dive on that.
Yes.
But college, Magic chose to go to Michigan State, and a dynasty was formed there at Michigan State, Dusty. Bird's a little bit different story.
Totally different story.
Bird goes to Indiana to play for the great Bobby Knight, but was only there 24 days.
24 days, you're right.
Bird was a little bit of a recluse, I think. He was a little bit, his mother didn't have the money. It was a big campus. Coming from where he's from, he was just a little overwhelmed. And so after 24 days, Bird left and went home. And it says that his mother didn't speak to him for 2 months.
Yeah.
So Larry Bird goes to work for the French Lick Street Department. His parents were divorced at the time. And at that time, his dad tragically did kill himself
in 1975.
Yeah, and so Larry Bird, his whole goal there, I gotta take care of my mother. I can't even think about trying to play basketball. I have to take care of my mother. And thank God for Bill Hodges at Indiana State, because if it wasn't for Bill Hodges at Indiana State, nobody may never know the name Larry Bird. If he hadn't been so persistent on trying to get Larry Bird to come to Indiana State, and he does, and that's where this story really starts.
Yeah, and I love his nickname. They call him the Hick
from French Lick.
From French Lick,
Mm-hmm.
And Larry the Legend.
Mm-hmm.
But listen, to start out, you lose your father. And to a tragedy. You know, and then he's trying to take care of his mother. You know, he's got 4 brothers. But Larry, like, put it on himself to make sure that mom was taken care of. So, you know, props for that. And then, like you said, you know, he goes on to Indiana State, and that's where it all kind of.
And it was. He showed up. He showed up for just kind of a walk-on tryout in work boots, jeans, and absolutely destroyed the Indiana State basketball team
by himself.
Yes, and that's where it comes to. Bird goes to Indiana State, and Indiana State versus Michigan in the 1979 title game. To this day, the most viewed, the highest rated national championship that there's ever been.
To this day.
And it's funny, I don't know what you've got in your notes, but these two had actually played with each other on the same team on a collegiate, not a Olympic team, but almost like a.
It's like
it's a Team USA something.
It's almost like a scout team or something.
They were on the same team and got to be. You know, they were pretty good players, but Magic goes up to say hello to Bird, you know, before the national championship. Bird wants nothing to do with him.
No.
That's not how Larry Bird rolled. And that's when really the rivalry was born. Like, Magic's like, oh, okay.
Okay.
That's how it is. Magic's Michigan State team going to win 74 to 65. And, you know, I've watched some highlights of that. And Bird, I think he just felt like he had to do it all by himself. And Michigan is just a better team.
Yeah, Michigan's
with Magic Johnson on it.
They were just better all the way around.
So both of them are going to the NBA after that. That's 79. So the 80 season would have been their rookie year. Let's talk about the state of the NBA at the time.
It was horrible.
It was in its 33rd season. There were no crowds, no TV sponsors. Everything was a tape delay. You didn't watch finals. You didn't watch an NBA game live. Even the finals.
The finals
was a tape delay.
In my notes, I got them. People were tuning in after 11:30 at night to actually watch it off a tape delay with the commentators.
Right, and you know, drugs was a very big issue. It was very dysfunctional. And again, race played a big part in it, I think. And I know, you know, we have to watch how we're saying it because we're two Southern Tennessee country boys that are white. So I don't want this to come off anything racial on our part. But I think a big topic was the league was too black, not just in appearance, but in style of play. And I think that it was, you know, to heck with your, let me get mine. It was that kind of thing. And I think it said there were only 2 teams in the NBA in the year before that turned a profit.
Yes, I did read that.
And so basically all your teams are losing money, and the NBA was ready to just to blow up. And then lo and behold, Larry Bird's the first pick in the draft, and he goes to the Boston Celtics. Hard-working Irish town, a lot of race issues there that let's just call it what it is. They were looking for their white savior in Boston.
Yeah, and you can read that. It's not that we're just saying.
We're not making this. I mean,
this is black and white.
Yeah,
you can go in and read it. You can read all the stuff that we've actually researched on.
Magic, second pick in the draft. He goes to the Lakers. Celtics might have been the winningest team in NBA history, but was the worst team in the league when Bird was drafted. The Lakers, they're under a kind of a new deal. Jerry Buss, name that probably a lot of people know. That's his first year. He buys the Lakers that year, and even though everybody in the organization tell him we don't need a 6'9" point guard. You know, we've got a point guard. You know, we need, hell no, this is who we're getting, and this is going to be our franchise. And he drafts Magic to go with Kareem, you know, the all-time leading scorer up until LeBron breaks it. And Magic just changed the culture, and Showtime was born, the Showtime Lakers.
And listen, you go back and you watch some of these videos, they were Showtime.
But Jerry Buss even put a lounge, a club upstairs for the after parties.
Yes, because they were living that life.
Yes. And, you know, in this documentary I watched, and you can go and watch it, it's Magic's first game, and they're playing the lonely old Clippers, who are terrible. and Kareem hits a sky hook from around the free throw line to beat the Clippers in overtime. And, you know, all those veterans, they're like, we got 81 more games left. Magic's jumping up, down, hugging Kareem. It's that video of him just bear hugging Kareem, crying because they won it. And that's when I think you start to see you got players in here now that they want to win every game. This is more, they're going to change the NBA because this is the first game of the season as a rookie against the Clippers, and Magic Johnson's acting like he just won the finals.
Exactly.
So, let's see. Where was I going to get to? Yeah, you got Magic out west, Showtime Lakers. You got Bird, hardworking, white Americans out in the to go with. I mean, there were more black players for the Celtics than there were white players, but you got McHale, you got Ainge. You're kind of littered with a few white players, and all of a sudden the media and everybody says, "Well, that's a white team there." But you're kind of clinging on to that great white hope thing,
right? And I think you could talk about it real quick about even back then. We're talking about 1980, how the media was pushing kind of that race card with the Boston Celtics.
Year one, let's see. Magic won the title. Bird was the Rookie of the Year, and that rivalry is just getting stronger. Let's talk about Magic in that NBA Finals Game 7. Really, I think what made Magic, even though he was a rookie, you go back to look at it and say, that's one of the greatest players of all time. Kareem's out. Kareem's hurt.
Yes.
Kareem doesn't even play. Magic plays all 5 positions, scores 42 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists as a rookie, and wins a NBA championship.
It's really hard to fathom. Like, it almost like there's no comment because you say it. I mean, once you say that, what else do you say to go with it? Except for me is you see who Magic Johnson really is. And it ain't like Magic took a back step, like he slid off. Like, once we seen what Magic was his rookie year with the Lakers, that's what we got his whole career.
I think an unfair criticism that gets put on Magic, that people don't put him in a GOAT conversation, says, well, he had Kareem, well, he had Worthy, Worthy would come on the next year. But he had Kareem, and you're thinking, well, yeah, guess what? Kareem and them assholes, they weren't winning before he got there.
No, you're right.
And yeah, he might have been but somebody had to be the spark plug for that team. Somebody had to be the captain, even though they call Kareem the cap. You take Magic Johnson off that team,
they don't win.
No. You take Magic Johnson off that team, and he's not in the NBA, Larry Bird may have 8 championships.
Yeah, we may be talking about Larry Bird being
which we'll get into the championships more later. But what a great series, and I saw this clip from Larry Bird, and even though he won Rookie of the Year, Bird didn't care about that. Bird wanted a championship, and the way in this rivalry he looked at it, Bird looked at it like, damn it, I'm down 2 to this guy now. From the national championship to the first, they're both rookies, and he's won a title.
Yeah, he come right off a national championship straight into the NBA championship, and Bird is really like, how am I going to beat this guy? What can I do to beat Magic Johnson?
Well, that would come the next year. TV ratings are getting a little bit better now. The NBA really figuring out what they've got. They center everything around Magic and Bird. They show these live doubleheaders. The first game's East Coast.
Yep.
Celtics against so-and-so. The game 2 of the night will be out west. Lakers versus so-and-so. And really started building up revenue and TV shares that just start going through the roof because of 2 players.
And to add to that is you've got the media pumping in, okay, these were Bird's numbers tonight. Now what's Magic going to do?
Yep.
And then the next morning you wake up and then they put it together. Well, Larry had 25, Magic had 24,
right.
Back and forth like that. So that just added more gas to the fire for that rivalry. And I think there's somebody else that we forgot to talk about who some people give credit to was David Stern.
Yeah, David Stern was a assistant wasn't the commissioner of the league. He was assistant their rookie year. Next year, that's his first year.
Yeah, he's the man. So he gets to take the reins.
Greatest commissioner in NBA history.
Oh, ain't even close.
Yeah. But, that second year, Bird and the Celtics win the title in year 2. And the Lakers, they had gotten put out. Let's see, the Bird and the Celtics, did they beat Houston? Was it the Rockets they beat in year
I'm looking that
2?
up.
I think it was.
I had that pulled up.
I think they kind of shocked the Lakers and put them out, so Bird wins. And the amazing thing, Dusty, is Bird Magic at this time, they absolutely hated each other. But if you kind of talk to either one of them, I think they hated each other because they were mirrors of each other. If you closed your eyes and just squinted and saw Bird make a pass, it would make it the same way Magic would. I mean, these two are getting 24 points a game on 10 or 12 shots. And they're just doing it's two separate players, but it was almost like they were twins the way they played.
They played the game so much alike. The only difference to me was the position. Larry wasn't a point guard. He did bring the ball down the floor some, but he was more of what we call the traditional wing player. And Magic was the ball handler.
84 would be the first year.
The first year.
They played each other in the finals. And, of course, 84 was a great year because that was rookie year of his heiress, Mr. Michael Jordan. But that 84 finals with the Lakers and Celtics, in my mind, is the greatest finals of all time. Go 7 games. Every game is cutthroat fights. I mean, just back and forth. It was of course, I'm only 4 years old time, so it's not like I remember watching it live. Probably didn't watch it live.
No.
But I've went back and watched every game. You're talking about a damn war.
Dude, them guys left it all on the court every night.
I think the big, you had to tell the two different cultures playing each other. And when the Celtics took out Kurt Rambis,
Yep.
I think that's when the Celtics won the series. Because it got Los Angeles, instead of playing the way they like to play, they wanted to fight.
Yeah, it made them mad.
And I think that's where the Lakers won that series. Lakers win game 1. Should have won game 2. And that's when Magic Johnson dribbles the clock out.
Yep.
And very uncharacteristic of Magic, but he dribbles the clock out, and then the Lakers steal that one. Lakers win game 3, Boston game 4. Game 4, like I said, that's when Kurt Rambis gets murdered, and the physical battle just continues. Game 5 to the Celtics, game 6 to the Lakers, and then game 7 in Boston. It's probably the most loudest, chaotic scene there's ever been in NBA history. Did you watch Winning Time? It's biopic. Of course, all the players say it was totally far-fetched, but it's an HBO show that they did that had some really great cast and stuff in it. But
I guess I've seen it.
Talking about the Lakers Showtime dynasty, and according to everything that's in that show, when they were at Boston, you might as well have been at a Klan meeting if you were the Lakers, the way they treated them.
Right.
I mean, like, it was bad.
And that's some of that stuff that we're talking about. Like, it was horrible how they were treated.
Right. The bus that they, this is a fact. I did look this up. The bus that they had the Lakers leaving on after they beat them, it said whites only on it. And this is 84. I mean, this ain't 1960.
Right, it's 84. But that's what it meant to those Celtics fans.
Yeah. Well, let's don't lump all of them in.
Not all.
Okay. But it's just, I mean, anybody that looks at it and say, well, racial barriers had been beat, in our time, like, no, it was still a thing. And people were yearning for that great white hope. That's what they tried to label Bird. The great thing about Bird he was such an introvert and a recluse. He was like, hell with y'all. I am not your great white hope. I'm here to play basketball, and then I'm going home to French Lick to work on my farm. And if you want to talk to me about basketball, I'll talk to you about basketball. But other than that, go kick rocks.
Yeah.
He was not having it.
No, he didn't want to. He didn't want the spotlight. Mm-hmm. Just old country boy loved basketball. Mm-hmm. He could care less about the cameras and all the BS that come along with it.
But unfairly, and of course, the very next year, the Magic and the Lakers knock out the Celtics in 6. So you've got back-to-back years. Celtics win in '85. Lakers win in '86. Or Celtics win in '84. Lakers win in '85. And that brings on the Converse commercial. You remember that? Mm-hmm. In the cornfield?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where a dialogue started kind of growing between Magic and Bird.
Yep.
It's really good if you see the behind-the-scenes footage of that and them start to kind of cut up. And I think it's where they kind of realize how similar they were to each other.
I think you're right. They realized that they're the two best in the league. They have changed the NBA. They put the NBA on their back and said, hey, we're going to make this something. They hate each other, and now all of a sudden, hey, you know what? You may not be such a bad dude after all. Mm-hmm. We're not going to play together.
Yeah, I still don't like you on the court.
Yeah.
But I got a respect for you.
Yes.
Bird was the MVP in '87, even though Magic kind of had better numbers. That's where we're going to kind of get into, even the media-wise, I think. Bird was great. I've got Bird in my top 5 of all time, but Magic's number 2 to me. And I think once we kind of get more into it, it seemed like if you go back, especially this documentary and everything you go and read, they could have the exact same numbers, but it seemed like Bird got the higher nod.
Yeah.
From the media.
From the media, Bird was a step above Magic. Mm-hmm. And that's probably some stuff we'll probably never know.
Yeah. But Celtics eliminate the Pistons in the Eastern Conference Finals. Let me get into somebody that I just can't stand. Let me give you two things that will. First, Isaiah Thomas. This is kind of toward the end of the 80s is when we start seeing that Bad Boys dynasty start to form.
88, wasn't it?
In 87.
87.
Well, they didn't win it in '87, but the Celtics eliminate the Pistons in the Eastern Conference Finals in '87 to go back and play the Lakers. Mm-hmm. And Rodman calls Bird average, and then Isaiah Thomas on a quote with a reporter. It's an interview. You can hear the audio to it. He says if he was black, he would just be another average player. Talking about Bird. Okay. So there's one time Isaiah Thomas opens his mouth, says something he probably shouldn't have, that has no bearing because it doesn't matter what color he's in. He's putting up the best numbers in the league with Magic Johnson. Mm-hmm. So you can either say he's 1 or you can say he's 2, but you can't say he's 3.
No.
I mean, he's 1 or 2.
Right.
So that's one of many controversial things that we've got another one coming up, Isaiah Thomas, during this time. But that's also kind of the start of the emergence of the Bad Boys. They lose in the Eastern Conference Finals. Bird didn't care, but the media sure did about Isaiah's comments. Bird had to do a press conference about it, before they play the Lakers in Game 7 of the finals. Magic and the Lakers would win that series finals, and that was the first time you ever, and that in Bird's press conference after the '87 finals when Magic beat him, was the first time you heard Bird say Magic's the best player he's ever seen. Larry Bird said Magic's the best player I've ever seen. What can you say? Those are his exact words.
Right.
And I think after that, then everything just kind of loosened up because Bird starts having back issues. Mm-hmm. And they don't win any more titles. They go back to the Eastern Conference Finals the next year, but the Pistons win it. And then the Pistons lose to Magic. Magic wins his fifth. In
88.
Against Detroit. Then Detroit wins the next 2. But let's just look at it statistics-wise, Dusty. Larry Bird, 3 NBA titles, a Rookie of the Year, 3 MVPs, 2 Finals MVPs, and a 12-time All-Star, plus a gold medal with what we'll get to later.
Yes.
In the Dream Team. Magic Johnson, 5 NBA titles, 3 MVPs, 3 Finals MVPs, a 12-time All-Star, and a gold medal to boot. So, Dusty, man, we got some things we're going to discuss, but before we get into, Magic's tragic way he had to end his career.
Right.
Bird's back. Before we get into some of those things and stuff, and the All-Star game that they invited Magic to play, that was the most ungodly thing I've ever seen. Him just throwing it up off his hip, making 3-pointers.
It's stupid.
The Dream Team and the friendship. Before we get all that, to kind of close out, we're 44 now, so we do remember Magic and Bird. But if you look back on it and see what they did historic-wise, they won 8 out of the 10 championships of the 80s.
Yes.
Those two. What's your take on just the play in the NBA of those two?
I think that is play that we'll never see again between the two guys. Two guys at that level. You had the two best players, East Coast, West Coast, on 2 very huge programs.
Well, the 2 winningest in NBA history that were in a downfall.
I think that rivalry between Bird and Magic will never be reduplicated again by any 2 other players. I know we'll get in later in some of our other shows about Jordan and some of his guys, but I think the Bird Magic was unbelievable for the NBA. One thing we didn't talk about, and I want to bring it up about Larry Bird, was his trash talk.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, we were going to get, but yeah, go ahead.
You had a guy who, like you said, was an introvert, who wanted to just play basketball, and he wanted to go home, work on the farm.
Go home, cut his grass. Leave me alone.
But there was something about Larry Bird when he crossed that chalk, crossed that line.
When he had the laces up.
When that mouth didn't stop. And we could get into hours of people talking about him, but, they say that Larry Bird was the number 1 trash talker in the NBA.
My favorite one's the one Charles Barkley told. He said we were playing him. Larry walks up to me just shaking his head, and he says, I can't believe y'all disrespecting me like this. And Charles said, what are you talking about, Larry? He said, man, y'all got a white guy trying to guard me.
Yeah.
I mean, it was Dan Marley who was an all-star.
Who was an all-star.
He said, this is just disrespectful. He said, y'all got a white guy trying to guard me.
But as a childhood for me, I thought it was great. I watched a lot of the Celtics with my papa because he was a Bird guy. But for me and you and what we've seen coming up, I think it was just must-see TV that some people that are younger than us are going to miss out on. And I challenge you to go back and watch some of the footage of these 2 playing. Not even against each other, but just how they played the game of basketball.
Played it hard. Played it with passion.
There was no quit,
Well, I remember you had to pick a side, too. I mean, listen, you showed up to school with them black and white Converse. You was a Bird man. You showed up with them white and purple ones. You was a Magic man. But you had to pick a side.
There wasn't no in between. You didn't get to wear one on Monday and another pair on Tuesday.
No, you didn't get both pair, by God. You're one or the other.
One or the other. That's a fact.
But, to me, I love the game of basketball. Wasn't ever the best at it, but it was just always the most exciting. And it's butterfly effect. What if Bill Hodges doesn't talk Larry Bird into playing college basketball? We never hear of it.
Yeah.
What if Jerry Buss doesn't buy the Lakers and is emphatic that we draft Magic Johnson? What if Magic Johnson goes to the Bulls, where he was projected to go?
Absolutely.
Would they have been able to, 3 years in advance, be able to see or do what they did with Jordan? Who knows?
I mean, really and truthfully, I don't know. As good as Magic was, I don't think the Bulls would have had a chance to pick Jordan.
But that's what I'm saying. What if he's at the Bulls? The Bulls at the time, listen, the wave's not paid for Michael to do what he does if Celtics and Lakers haven't revived the NBA. not only could it have been the two best players in the draft, but they got to the two biggest franchises that had the best rivalry. I mean, amazing if if one of those don't happen. Where is our NBA right now?
Right. I don't even think. I mean, it could be irrelevant. Mm-hmm. I mean, it can really be just it's NBA.
See, that's the thing, and I think any of our younger listeners or people that just don't have a clue, who love Michael Jordan as much as me and Dusty do, and the rest of the world does, we may never heard of Michael Jordan because the NBA may have folded up.
They could have
by '84. I mean, they were ready to fold up in '80.
Yeah, because we didn't know who Jordan was when he was in North Carolina.
Yeah,
we just knew we had this phenomenon out there wearing Tar Heels blue and white. Well, we didn't know.
I know he hit a pretty good shot to win a national championship as a freshman, but other than that, you didn't see highlights like you do now.
No.
You didn't keep up with players like you did now.
We didn't have the means to. No. We didn't get to watch those as kids on TV.
So I'm just saying, if the Bird Magic thing doesn't happen, there may not be an NBA.
There may not. You're exactly right. It could. I mean, when we say they saved the NBA, we're saying that they saved where we can talk about Jordan. Mm-hmm. We can talk about LeBron.
Yeah.
We can talk about all these guys.
Magic,
Kobe.
Listen, make no mistake. Magic and Bird saved the NBA and made the NBA a profitable and a fun thing to watch in the 80s. Now, Jordan took that and made it global.
Right.
And made it where we can't take anything away from what Jordan did, but it's not there for him to do that if it weren't for the two ahead of him.
And to add to that, I think you got to give props to Bird and Magic for the guys making the money they make now.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, yeah. There were no shoe deals.
You talk about the Jordan thing, but let's just talk about. Don't worry about Jordan. Without Magic and Bird, Steph Curry's not making $300 million.
Well, listen, the league was ready to close up.
Yeah, they didn't have the money.
You were playing a game and being happy with what paycheck you got. When Bird, after about year two with Bird and Magic, players were able to renegotiate contracts. You know what I mean?
That's where we were talking about earlier, if you're just now listening. When we were talking about this being on a time delayed, they got TV deals again.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't have TV deals before Bird and Magic.
Sponsors weren't going to them wanting to endorse their product.
No,
because they looked at them like a drug dealer.
Yes, they did.
This is what it is.
Yes, you don't have the commercial of Bird wearing his Converse in the field. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, how many Converse you think them sold?
Oh shit! Hell, Jordan was wearing them in North Carolina. That's what people don't realize. Bird and Magic set it up for Jordan when he was in college. And it was just lucky enough that he got to run with it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, don't get me wrong. He made some great decisions, choosing to go Nike, and then Lord, God knows where that is now.
Oh.
But yeah. But again, I think the point we're trying to get across, we're both on the same page here. Jordan can't do everything he's done and doesn't have a chance to do everything he's done if it's not for Magic and Bird.
Right. And I think even not even as big as Jordan, but I know we're going to talk about it, but think about that 92 Dream Team. The greatest team ever assembled in any sport. I guess we can get into it real quick. That's when Magic, we'll talk, he had his tragedy.
He got diagnosed with HIV virus, with AIDS.
But that's when he passed the torch. Bird was already on the backside of his back. Hell, he couldn't even hardly walk when the Dream Team was doing their thing.
Bird really had no interest in being on the Dream Team until he found out Magic was going to.
Yes, and once they
play together.
Yes, once they got to play, and people don't realize that's the only time they played together.
Ever. Besides that collegiate.
Yeah, besides that little collegiate.
They never really got to play it.
Right. That was it. So you got to think about Magic passing the torch as well.
Let's get to it. After the 91 season, Jordan wins his first title against Magic. And then that off season, I remember being a kid. I remember crying. Because people now, you look at it and say, well, what's AIDS? What's HIV? Because it's treatable now. When we were kids in 1990 and 1991, if you heard somebody got AIDS, that means they were going to get skinny, they were going to get sick looking, and they were going to die. And that's what I thought was going to happen to Magic Johnson.
And you got to take it another step further. It was to a point where Magic, nobody wanted to play. They didn't want him playing.
Brings me to my second Isaiah Thomas quote. That's he's on a recorder. Him and Magic were great friends. Okay, and he says, "Man, you ever heard any straight person getting this, accusing him of being gay and making people not want to be around him?"
Right.
Which couldn't be farther from the truth.
It was so far from the truth.
I mean, just a pot stir. You see, I mean, it wasn't just Jordan that hated Isaiah.
No, it wasn't.
But again, that's just a reason for me to pick at Isaiah Thomas. But I just remember crying. I remember seeing that because me being 10, 11 years old, didn't really understand the AIDS epidemic and everything that was going on. But I knew if you got it, you died.
And what it meant to me and you as huge basketball fans when you've got the man who can't play no more.
And it was so great. He started taking the right meds. He found a way to live with it. And, of course, Magic, thank God, he's still living with us here today.
Yes.
One of the best ambassadors for the game there's ever been. But, it all started, the way the him got going on that dream team was they special invite Magic. He didn't play the next year, but he got that special invite to play in the All-Star game, wins the MVP, and, I mean, just goes off. And that's where the ball started getting rolling for this dream team. Of course, they had to talk Jordan into it. And I think that was their first phone call and didn't know if Jordan wanted to because he's just coming off his second championship. And, it's been said Jordan likes to play 80 rounds of golf in his summer, 2 rounds a day. He don't want to have to go play basketball. But when Jordan found out Bird Magic was, he said, I'm in. All right, so that dream team, let's talk about that. We're going to have our own Dream Team show where we'll go in depth.
Yes.
But if you watched this documentary, and I really hope you do, it shows Magic and Bird are sitting together in the bus all the time. They're playing cards together. But Magic is what Magic is. He's leaving out of the front of the hotel room where all the fans are, and he's signing autographs, and he's hugging folks, and that's him. Bird's finding the back door and trying to figure out how to get on the bus the fastest way.
So nobody even knows he's in around. Yes, and then that's what's so funny, I guess, or to me when I was really getting into researching this, is Bird didn't want the spotlight, and he knew he was good, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't want people to think that Bird was this arrogant guy, but he did want the spotlight.
No,
but Magic. Yeah. Oh, he wanted you to see that smile, that Magic smile. He wanted to walk out.
It meant a lot to him to make you smile.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's at last, that's what leads to what just a great friendship they've turned out to be. You would have never thought in 1979 that both of those would be at each other's retirement ceremony. Giving each other props and presents and things like that. And, I'll do my final thoughts of it first. Again, I was a kid. I was a small white kid from little old Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. I loved basketball. But I was a Magic guy. I went against the norm. I loved Magic. I loved the Showtime Lakers until Jordan got there. Now, when Jordan got there, I was all 23.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Right.
Once I figured out Michael Jordan, that's who it was. But in that, I remember having my white and purple Converse, and then, remember, at Magic goes to L.A. Gear. You remember L.A. Gear?
L.A. Gear. You used to buy them there used to be a store down here behind the square. M&S Salvage, I think was the name of the store.
I had my white, purple, and gold L.A. Gears that Magic wore later. And listen, I've said it in our podcast. The 91 Braves made me love baseball. The 91 Vols made me love Tennessee football. But Magic and Bird made me love basketball. I think that's why basketball was my favorite sport to play as a kid. Even though I probably was better at baseball, wasn't real good at it either. But even though I loved football, basketball was my favorite thing to play because of Magic and Bird.
I 100% agree with that. But I led more towards Bird. I love the way he played the game. I love basketball. I wasn't good. I was just a big dude that liked to get in there and bang and foul. But there was something about the way Bird carried himself. Maybe it was he didn't want the spotlight. I didn't know what that was at 11 years old. But the way Bird carried himself on the court, and I think the teammate that he was is what led me more.
He wanted to win. They both just wanted to win.
And they give 100% every night. They didn't take nights off like the guys do now. They're out there beat up, veined
They're
up.
They're playing 82 games.
Yes, every year, unless they're just so damn beat up that if they're legit hurt.
Bird at the end of his career was playing 80 games, and he was having to come out and lay on the floor and somebody pop his back into place.
Yes.
You see any of these guys doing that now?
If they had to do that, they got to take off 2
Making
weeks.
$500 million.
Anthony Davis ain't played a full week in 6 years. He had somebody's walking on his back all the time. But I just challenge people, if you're listening to us, go back and watch some of this and see what we mean by what Bird and Magic meant to the NBA and what they meant to, like me and Clint, at our age before Jordan. That's kind of where I'm at with it. It was fun to watch.
It paved the way, and yeah, shoe contracts. A lot of people. There's a lot you've got to tip and give to Michael Jordan, but Jordan can't do what he does if it weren't for those two.
No, there's no. I'll just go on the record and say there's no Michael Jordan
without
of what we know of Michael Jordan without Bird and Magic.
Yeah. And again, me and Dusty probably didn't do this thing justice.
We didn't.
Probably could have done more. We probably could have done more research. But if you don't get anything out of this, and if you thought the NBA was just always there, and then, players like Bird and Magic and Jordan, just became great players, but the NBA, no, there almost wasn't an NBA, and because of Bird and Magic, there still is. There was an NBA for Michael Jordan to come into. They were, I'm talking inches away from shutting it down. Every owner, closing the doors.
0 teams in the NBA is what we're saying.
Yeah. I mean, no teams made money. There were 2 teams the year before. When Bird and Magic were in the College National Championship, there were 2 teams in the NBA that turned a profit. That don't even mean it was much of a profit. There were only 2 that turned a profit.
Those owners could not keep that up.
No.
Especially with the no TV deals. You didn't have anybody to kind of pad your pocket.
And I think, listen, to what you were kind of saying, I think it also made the other great players in the league look and see the way they were doing things. They knew they were the best 2 players on the court, but if they were willing to take the charge, if they were willing to play hurt, if they were willing to be a team player, I think it made them look at it and say, well, I need a bigger contract, and this is what they're doing to get it done. And I think that's what paved the way for the NBA that me and you loved in the 80s and 90s to be what it was. And I wish we could kind of get back to that in today's NBA.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. There's no argument there. It's just.
It may be some people's basketball now. It's just not mine.
It's not mine. I watch a lot of it because of my son, but it's not my basketball.
Yeah. All right, AJ, where are we at on time? But minus our commode breaks and.
About 50 minutes.
Yeah, we'll go. Well, I think that's a good one to end it on, buddy. I enjoyed it. I appreciate the research. I tell you what, let's just call it now. It's WrestleMania season officially. So our next show that we'll record is going to be in about a week and a half, 2 weeks, and we're going to do a WrestleMania podcast. We may try to get AJ. We may see if we get some more guys on here to do that with us, but we don't know if we want to do WrestleMania 3, the biggest one that got it started, or we just talk all WrestleMania.
I think we could do like, say we've done like 1 through 10, and then,
or we could just do WrestleMania biggest moments leading up to this big WrestleMania we got coming in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, because we got to talk about 1. You got to talk about 1 because
What got it started.
We got to talk about 3. Got to talk about 5.
Yep. So yeah, all right, we'll figure that out. So if we get any wrestling fans, or even if you're not, just tune in. Me and Dusty may just sound so professional you can't turn off.
And one other thing, your wife did send a question out.
Yeah, she did.
And I'm going to go ahead and answer it. In my opinion, Miss Gretchen Brazier, those two could not play together because the egos would have been way too big. And we wouldn't have what we have in the NBA now if they'd have been together.
Listen, I disagree with you. I think they could have played together. And I think they would have been great, but I do not think it would have been good for the league because that rivalry, that East versus West, that Showtime versus Boston rivalry is what saved it to go with them two. Now, I think they were such great players and great teammates that I think they could have played together.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they could have set it aside.
I don't think either one well, they probably had ego. But I think they probably could have set it aside, but I don't think there's any chance in hell the NBA would have been good with it because I think wherever they were, they would have just won it all.
These 8 that they won together, they had won 8.
Yeah.
They might have just won 10 in a row. They might have went from 80 to 90.
Yeah, I mean, that's all, you also got to remember that Detroit might not have their dynasty if
they play together. But, that would be a great, like, where would they went? Would they went to Boston, went with the Lakers?
Yeah. Yeah. And we've got a lot more NBA shows we're going to do because we haven't even got to Jordan, we haven't even got to the Dream Team, we haven't even got to 90s basketball.
We haven't. But I do want to say one thing. This is a surprise. When we do have our Dream Team talk, we got a surprise for them. Yeah. We're going to have a little special guest on the show with us.
Yeah. And all our local people know who it is. And
great friend of ours, grew up with us, and we're going to leave it at that. It's going to be kind of a surprise. I'm hoping that he's going to hear this in the next day or so, and I hope he reaches out and he's ready to do it.
Yeah, he's getting there.
Because I know after we get through with WrestleMania show, we may jump into that. I think that'd be a good way to go.
Yeah, I'm good with it because it'd be more. Really, the only sports we'll really have going at that time is baseball and NBA Finals would be kind of getting ready to go. So that might be a good time to get into it.
Yeah.
All right, Dusty, thank you, my friend.
Yes, sir, man. I enjoyed it.
Thank you for all our viewers, all our listeners. Scoop, I don't even know if we got to your question, but I think we did answer it in there because you said you didn't really ask a question. You just said this may be a touchy subject because we did touch on the racial undertones that were in it and things like that. And I hope we did it justice. But I'm Clint Brazier.
I'm Dusty Kaiser.
Thank you guys for tuning in to Cuttin' Up.